You realize the final Splatfest was last weekend, right? Well, the good news is that now gives us a reason to start talking about Splatoon 3. Welcome everyone, this is AndresRestart, and for this video I'm just going to kind of talk about what I want from Splatoon 3. So we got the final Splatfest in Splatoon 2, the Splatocalypse. I chose Team Chaos won. It was all because of me, no I'm just kidding. I probably had very little impact on it. I played the game for an hour on the final day of the Splatfest, and to be totally honest with you, that was the first Splatfest I played since the first one. Now don't get me wrong, I do love Splatoon, but I'm just not really a big multiplayer guy. I did play here and there. I 100% single player, I maxed out Salmon Run, and I just play multiplayer here and there. I guess I'm really just more of a casual Splatoon player, so for a lot of you watching, my gameplay may be trash. You may have way more hours in the game than I do. I'm only close to 100. You likely have 1,000 or 2,000, or I don't know. I'm sure there's different kinds of Splatoon players out there. But nevertheless, I like the game. I like the game a lot. I love the franchise, and I'm really curious about what's going to happen moving forward. So, Team Chaos won, and I do think it's going to have implications for Splatoon 3. With Splatoon 1, we chose a side for the sisters at the end with the final Splatfest, and that had implications for the single-player story in Splatoon 2. So I think Chaos is somehow going to be playing a big role in Splatoon 3 with the story. There's this whole Splatocalypse thing sort of going on here. Maybe there'll be a second apocalypse for Splatoon. Splatoon takes place way into the future, way beyond civilization of man. They kind of reach their end, so maybe the Inklings could be sort of facing their own end in the story for Splatoon 3, which is going to be really interesting to see. So I kind of want to see even more of a single-player campaign. I love the single-player in Splatoon. I think it's amazing. I love the platforming and all you can do with the mechanics of Splatoon. So if they were to flesh it out a little bit more, I would really appreciate that. I love Splatoon 2. I thought the bosses were great. I thought the level designs were great. I just want a little bit more of that. So hopefully we get a slightly more fleshed out campaign for Splatoon 3. Now, one mode I loved from Splatoon 2 was Salmon Run. I love that they added that. It's basically a horde mode, a zombie mode, and it was a unique take on the horde mode genre. It wasn't just a random sort of carbon copy of zombies from Call of Duty, which I appreciated. But at the same time, I also like zombies from Call of Duty. I like that endless challenge. So I would love it if they were to flesh out Salmon Run even more so in Splatoon 3 and offer an endless mode as well, where you don't just do a couple waves, you can do more, and it's an incredible challenge, an endless challenge, and you're just going for a high score of reaching the highest wave. That's something that I would like to see moving forward. Now, something that I complained about with Splatoon 2 when we first got the game was a lack of split screen. There is no split screen in Splatoon 2. If you want to play multiplayer with people, you either have to play with someone else around the world, or you both have to have two switches to play next to each other. There's no other way to play multiplayer with 3 or 4 people in your room. I would love it if they were to bring split screen back. I know split screen isn't as big of a deal now as it used to be, but come on, I miss the GoldenEye days, I miss the Halo days. I want that split screen multiplayer. Bring it in for Splatoon. That would be awesome. And on that note, I would also like to see even more multiplayer modes. Of course, they have some really interesting ones in Splatoon. Splatoon is all really good about having a unique take on these different modes we see from your typical shooter games, which I appreciate, but maybe they could also put in a couple modes that aren't unique takes. They're just straight up like your traditional shooter multiplayer game, like a free-for-all mode or a team deathmatch. Why not? Especially if they do add a split screen mode, why not have that in there as well? But now let's talk about the online. With the online, the 4-on-4, that's fine. But there's a decent chance that this next Splatoon game may come out for the next Switch. And we'll talk about that in a moment, but my point is that there may be more processing power with the next system that this game is developed for, and if that's the case, there should be more options in terms of what you can do for these different multiplayer modes. And heck, maybe it is even still possible on the Switch now. I'm not a developer, I don't know, but maybe. Point is, I would like to see even bigger maps. I would like to see 8v8. I want bigger matches. I want longer matches. I know we get 3 and 5 minutes. I want something even bigger and longer than that. I don't want just these quick bouts. I want these longer bouts as well with even more players in it. That's something that would kind of make it feel a bit more epic to me, raise the stakes a little bit more, which to me is exciting. I'm all about that hardcore challenge and playing against a bunch of people. That's exciting to me. So I would like to see that. That would be really cool. In terms of everything else that Splatoon 2 already offered with the online, I think it's great. But there's one other spin, maybe a couple other spins that I think could make things a little bit more interesting. Now, some of you may roll your eyes at this, but I do think it's a legitimately great mode to have, and that would be a Battle Royale mode. Yes, I know, Battle Royale is this new big thing that everyone's doing, but I think there's something special there, and I think Splatoon could have another interesting, unique take on it. I don't just want a carbon copy of Fortnite. I want something that would be unique to Splatoon, but still be that kind of Battle Royale mode. How exactly would that work? Well, one interesting idea, one, you make the map bigger, of course, but instead of it being a storm, what if it's water slowly rising up and you're playing on mountains? Or maybe there's just one giant mountain you play on and there's water slowly rising, and you know how Inklings are with water, you die, right? Inklings can't be in water. So it'd be really interesting to have water slowly rising, and eventually when you get to the end, whoever's the final team, they win, and that would be kind of how it would work. I think that would be really, really cool. Maybe even it could be kind of like a race to the top. Maybe there's something you have to kind of get at the very top of the mountain as well, which could grant you safe passage back to the homeland where there isn't water killing you. That could be kind of an interesting take they could have on a Battle Royale mode for Splatoon. Now, it doesn't have to be 100 players. Maybe it could just be like 32 or 64, something like that. Not as big, but still fairly big, and would have that Battle Royale sort of aspect to it that I think could be really, really interesting. Now, one thing that Fortnite does a lot is that they kind of have like this sort of story playing out with the environment season by season, and Splatoon does a lot of similar things in terms of having constant updates and additions to the game throughout, the last 2 years. I'm going to assume that's going to still be the case with Splatoon 3, but maybe with the multiplayer, with the challenges, maybe with that Battle Royale mode I'm talking about, there could be updates that kind of have implications for some sort of background story, not with just a single player, but the multiplayer as well. That could give a little bit more reason for people to sort of engage with the multiplayer mode, see what's going on, see how things are developing and evolving. It could be interesting. But these are just kind of my ideas. I'm sure you guys have different ideas as well, so please share them with me in the comments below. What would you like to see Splatoon sort of improve upon and expand upon in the future? But that kind of brings me to the next question. When will we see Splatoon 3? Well, we got confirmation that Splatoon 3 is still not in development recently with the final Splatfest. The EAD team that worked on Splatoon 2 is also working on Animal Crossing New Horizons. That game's not coming out until March. So maybe sometime between now and March, they start development for Splatoon 3. Now that the Splatfest has happened, they will probably keep that in mind with the story moving forward, and they're going to start developing it. So that could be another 2 to 3 years from now. Which brings me to what I was talking about earlier about how this game could maybe be on the next Switch, because if it's 2 years from now, that would be near the end of the Switch life cycle, assuming it just lasts 5 years before we get the successor system. But if it's 3 years, I feel very confident in saying that the next Switch will be upon us by that point. So if it is a 3-year development cycle, or at least 3 years from now before Splatoon 3 is ready to come out, it makes sense for it to come out on this new system. And on top of that, it's possible that Nintendo feels that Splatoon 2 is all you really need for your Splatoon enjoyment on the Switch. You can just go back and play the multiplayer for Splatoon now. There's plenty to do already in the game, and that game is going to continue to sell for years. It's an evergreen title, so there isn't really a demand for Splatoon 3 in terms of satisfying sales for the Switch. They might as well work on the next one for the next system. This is basically the same argument I had for why Mario Kart 8 Deluxe may be the only Mario Kart we will have on the Nintendo Switch. Granted, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is a port, while Splatoon 2 is a sequel, but the point is both of those games are going to continue to sell well on the current Nintendo Switch. There isn't a need to have another entry in that franchise on the system because the initial entries for the Switch are still selling. But like I said with Mario Kart, I'd love it if there's another Mario Kart on the Switch, and I would love it if Splatoon 3 comes to the regular Switch as well. So either way would work, but with a new Switch, a more powerful Switch, I don't just mean like a Switch Pro, I mean the next generation, the other modes I talked about, like a Battle Royale mode or an 8v8 or even bigger, these bigger maps with more going on, is a lot more feasible. So maybe I'd be okay with waiting, because Splatoon 2 is fine as it is for the next couple years, at least in my opinion. But what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. Anyways, everyone, this is AndresRestart. Thank you so much for listening and watching. If you love Nintendo content, please make sure you are subscribed. Leaving a like is very helpful, and I'll see you all really soon. Bye.